Hey everybody, so episode 3 is a really big one to me. Motivation is the power that drives us, right? Yeah, it's the motivation that allows us to be able to get up in the morning, support our family. It's the X factor that gives us that extra push to keep going when we feel like we can't go anymore. Your motivation is driven and only limited by your ability to stay positive and continue to believe in what you're doing. So today I have my one of my close friends, Josh. Um, we grew up together since we were 15, the last 15 years now, and we feed off um, each other's energy, each other's drive, um, and I do appreciate having somebody like him in my life to reassure me, like, even if it's not even just words, it's just seeing somebody else going through trials and tribulations and overcoming them, right? Knowing that, you're not the only one going through the things that you're going through and you're pushing through. All right, so you ain't crazy, right? So you see somebody else going through the same thing, they're able to do it too. So it's always good to have people like that in your life because it's not every time you're going to be able to get through something on your own. You're going to need maybe that reference, that mentor. And on top of, needing yourself, right? Believing in yourself. So today's episode is with Josh. And I have one quote from Isabel LaFay is your passion is waiting for your courage to catch up. So just think about that. All you got to do is believe. There's a few other factors in place to apply yourself, and you'll be able to do what you need to do in life. Please visit our site at www.richstateofmind.com, where we provide content on real estate, personal finances, and self-development. Share your story and information by posting a blog on our site so that the Rich State of Mind community continues to grow in knowledge. You can also follow our Instagram page at rich_state brand to find out about exclusive offers and discount promotions for our apparel. Start off with just tell everybody, a little bit about yourself. You can even say your side of how we met and how we know each other, and I'll go ahead and I'll go ahead a little bit too.
Me and Richie, we met in high school. We're childhood friends and stuff, and our parents know each other, and we're our families are pretty close. We do, Thanksgivings and barbecues, and we all hang out. So we've been friends for years. We weren't even in the same grade. We just had similar friends, and it's just one of those things where even if we're never in the same class, we were just always hanging out. So that's pretty much how that happened. Yeah. And man, we were kind of like brainstorming one night. I remember what's the next move or whatever, because you graduated a year before me. You were working at Walmart at the time. And I was like, man, we should go into the buddy program. I started hitting you up with the military and stuff. And we're kind of, tackling that whole idea. And we both just kind of jumped on it. And even though we chose different, career paths in the military, I'm really happy that, it worked out so great for you and you were able to just pretty much build that foundation off of that. And, and me as well. So, we're just like-minded people that had like-minded goals. And, that's the kind of people that you need to surround yourself if you want to be, successful.
It's funny you mentioned that too, because you are the reason why I joined the military. I would have never, I had went to Shaw University in Raleigh, North Carolina I walked the campus with my dad because Chavez was going to Shaw at the time. And the idea about us both being MAs.
Master. I remember that.
Yeah, kicking down doors in Bahrain and in the Middle East. So I thought about, that's like 21 Jump Street with your best friend. Go overseas and kick down doors and have a lot of fun with your homie. Like we gonna both be on the same, detail together or squadron together. But to us, it made sense and it sounded like fun. So yeah, man, I do really appreciate you showing me or opening that door for me because I ended up sticking it out between you and Jerome. Actually, I ended up sticking it
Yeah,
out so far the
longer than
longest.
both of us. You know what I mean?
And I thought Jerome was gonna do 30.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, me too. Man,
future
it's crazy,
senator.
but and that just goes to show that you never know the plan, man, and even now, since then, like I said, we both joined the military. I went to the Marine Corps. I did 2 combat deployments, and we all took our different approaches in life, and now I ultimately, I do mentoring for the state. I work with young men in the Indianapolis area, the metropolitan area, between the ages of 12 and 18, that are on probation. They have charges or whatever, and I basically assist with the court. They're mandated for a certain amount of hours of mentoring per week. So that's what I'm doing now, and I've been able to take all the experiences that I've had in life and kind of impart that into young people and stuff. So that same conversation that I had with you 10 years ago, you know even though that wasn't ultimately what I stuck through, for the entirety of my life, it doesn't change the fact that the Marine Corps gave me the foundation that I built so many great decisions and so many great characteristics, and really made me the man that I am today. So, even when I talk to these young men, especially when the ones that don't have felony charges or whatever, I'm like, look, man, you can get this wiped off. You can get a, you can get a what's it called, man? Waiver for this and that. And I always have that same conversation with the man, not so much, recruiting them or pushing them towards it, but just opening up their eyes to another option, because it's like the more doors that you have open, the better off your life's going to be. The minute you start making decisions that's going to start closing doors for you, you're just, cutting off. You might as well cutting off your fingers, because you're just losing opportunities at the rapid rate.
Yeah.
So it's crazy, man, because I have that same conversation that we had 10 years ago with, young men every week, every day.
And I think the key thing is, and you've always had this, an overflow was motivation, drive. That was one thing I think that was I could really mesh well with you on, aside from our other funny antics we used to get into growing up, was the fact
Right.
that we were always motivated to do something. Whether it was football, we knew we weren't going to be in the NFL, or for me,
Right.
I wasn't going to be in the MLB, but we went out there, we do our best, right?
Exactly.
I know I ain't gonna be no professional burger flipper when we were working at Ant. We made a good product.
Exactly. Exactly. Always putting our best foot forward, man. Like you said, it's just and that's something that starts back then. Like, that's something that starts when you're a kid. If you're not,
Yeah,
in those characteristics at that time, not saying that you can't do it later on, but you're putting yourself in such a huge disadvantage.
exactly. So I would say, like, for you, like I said, back then and even now, you have this continuous overflow of motivation and drive. What would you say drives you?
Um, what really drives me, man. It's seeing other people do great things. That really makes it opens up my eyes to things just being a fairy tale and an idea. And that's why I love social media so much. A lot of people use it as a crutch, and it's just entertainment. But for me, when I look out and I see someone either lose a bunch of weight, or buy their first house, or whatever, it's a tangible thing now. I can feel it, I can touch it, because I can see it. And that always is able to motivate me, man. Even when I was in the Marine Corps, and I was doing a 5 mile hike or whatever with a full combat load, the thing that always kept me going was I was able to look to my left and my right and see people taking that step forward. And I would say, hey, man, there's no way that man's stronger than me, mentally or physically. If another human being, I'm serious. Another,
That's like, remember, you'd be like quick to say if somebody's struggling, he's on steroids. There's no
yeah,
way.
right.
There's no way.
Yeah, there's no way he can run faster than me. It's not possible. But I've always believed that, because I've always worked really hard. So it's given me that confidence to lean on my abilities. You know what I mean? Especially physical. And as I've gotten older, a lot more mental and keeping my mind strong and being focused on what I'm doing. But I definitely really like getting excited about that, man. And even with you and seeing what you're doing with your life and your realty and just you've always been doing different venues and never been afraid to take a chance and to step out and to do something positive and to push your ideas. Ideas are just ideas until you put some effort behind it and some goals. So I always like to follow people who are positive, to have friends that are positive. I think that that's super important, and people overlook the crowd and the people that you surround yourself with. So, I keep such a positive like circle, a very close-knit circle, that's all I need, man. When I look and to my left and my right and I see the homies getting after it, I'm like, man, you know what? The way that I am, I gotta lead from the front. I can push harder because I see that they're doing it.
And so, like, I've seen you and your transformation because you're educate me, NPC competitor, and then you're trying to get to you're trying to get nationally.
Well,
how you say that?
Yeah, I've been nationally qualified. You got to win a state show to go to nationals. I actually went to 2 national shows, but you got to finish first or second at nationals to become a pro. So that's where I'm at right now, just trying to break through and get that pro card and move on to the next level.
And then what type of dedication do you have to do in order to be that? And then also too, like, pretty sure the amount of discipline required is crazy. So just speak on that a little bit.
Yeah, man. I've just always wanted to be good. I've always wanted not just good. I wanted to be great. Even back in the day when I wrestled and stuff, man, I was always at the top. I was always one of the, premier athletes to look at state shows and stuff like that. I've always had this burning desire because I thought that I was great. For me, saying you're great isn't enough. Anyone can say it. You have to prove it. You have to go out. You have to test yourself against other people who are, alpha males, who are the best in their, their craft. So, my dad always told me that anybody can be a big fish in a small pond.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, you're the fastest in your class. You might be the fastest in your maybe your school, your grade, but are you the fastest in your county? Are you the fastest in your state? Are you the fastest in your, what I'm saying, on the East Coast? Are you the fastest in the nation? There's levels to this shit. You know what I mean? So for me, it's always been about that next level, and never being satisfied, always pushing to be better than what I am, because, anybody could look at me and be like, hey man, that guy looks good. He's in great shape or whatever. And if I were to take that mindset and to be satisfied, I would never improve. I would never get better, and just leaning back on what we said before, man, the NPC is such a great organization because they give you an opportunity. There's national shows almost every month for about 4 or 5 months out the year. So every weekend I can look and I'm like, man, look at that guy. He's 5'6", I'm 5'6". He's 170 pounds, I'm 170 pounds. He just got his pro card. That man just lived his dream. He put forth all the effort that was necessary. He made the sacrifices and he got it done. And it just burns me, man. It burns a fire underneath me and it lights me up. So, when I think about cheating on my diet or not, getting my cardio done, or it's not an option for me, because I want that feeling, and I know that only things that you sacrifice for feel that good. When I see guys breaking down and tears and stuff, I know that just for me, it's been 10 years in the making. This isn't one of those kind of goals where you can just get good and then excel. Even if you are great at bodybuilding, even if you're great at working out, it takes time for your body to grow and, for you, and it takes consistency to get you where you want. So it's going to be a years and years kind of process. So I think anyone who knows that lifestyle, they have to have that discipline and they got to have that vision. And I think that's why me and you have always been really close friends, man, because I've always respected that you can see things in the future. I've always been that guy, like, I want to do it right now. I want to jump on and make it happen. But you've always been so much more calculated with the way you think and you can always see the long ball. You can set it up for, okay, well, I'm gonna do this and this, so that maybe 2 months down the road, even when we were kids, I'd just be like, man, this dude is playing the long game.
That's what makes a good yin and yang, though. That was a good yin and yang situation.
Right. I would be the one that be like, hit you with that urgency, like, yo, I see where you're going with this, but maybe right now we need some pressure. And then you would be that one to be like, hey, man, it's not always necessary to add pressure, Josh. Let's take this approach and that approach. So you're right, man. We leveled each other out in that way a lot.
Yeah, and I agree with you with the anybody could be a big fish in a small pond, because I thought about that. My first command I was at was on a small boy DDG. It's like 250 people, and my motivation coming out was like, oh man, I'm a E1, like I need to plus up. So I left it as an E5, and I'm thinking as an E5 on a small boy, you like a little demigod, and then but it really wasn't a test of how good I was as a PS, which is my rate, pretty much payroll for those of you that don't know, and with that to transition to a carrier, which is on now, which that's the real test. You got 3,000, 5,000 people on board there. That's where you really see, okay, am I doing it, or it was just the fact that the competition was weak in the smaller pond? And
exactly.
I would say I've always looked at people, not just so much people in my job rating description that were as good as me or better than me as competition, but I would see somebody in a whole different department. Like when I came to a carrier, I look and see who the top dogs were. Okay, this person looked like they got influence. Okay, this person, I see them doing something. All right, that person. All right, let me talk to them. Let me see what they're doing, how they got successful, and I'm trying to be as good or better than them. Because obviously whatever they did worked for them. But I always get that little bit of competitiveness in me. But I try not to be. I feel like I have to like downtone it a bit because it comes off offensive. Because it sounds like I want to. Because I almost come like I want to cut your head off. And people be like, but it's nothing personal.
Yeah, it's misunderstood as aggressive, but it's not aggressive. It's really mutual respect.
Yeah, it really is.
Because if you ain't even a threat to me, we wouldn't even. I don't see you. If I'm talking to you, if I'm taking the time to try to pick your brain, or what I'm saying, like, address you or whatever, or see what you did to get to where you are, that means I respect your hustle. I think that you're shit hot. You know what I'm saying? That is really a compliment.
And what would you say, like, so, and I feel like this is a good question because me and you, we know each other since 2005 in driver's ed class now. So it's been about 15 years. I would say, looking back, right, everything that we've been through, all the experiences we've been through, what would you have told yourself 10 years ago, like 11 years ago now, before you had joined the Marines and before I joined the Navy?
I would tell myself what I tell some of my mentees, man. Don't freak out. Don't freak out in life. Like, so everybody blows tires, right? I just blew one the other day, like 2 days ago. It just happens, right? Even if you take care of your car, even if you got expensive tires or whatever, eventually you're gonna you're gonna pop a flat. It's just life. That's what happens. The only thing that you can do is be prepared for it. The first time that you blow a flat, you don't know what you're doing. You don't know where the jack is. You don't know how to get the spare out. None of that stuff. So it's going to be the worst thing in the world. You're going to be, super stressed out, calling for help, calling mom and dad, and do we have insurance? Where's the card? It's a mess. But every time it happens to you, you get a little bit better. Then, you're riding on your own insurance. Then, you got a nice jack. Then you actually know how to use all the attachments. It's just life continues to hit you. Like flats continue to happen. So don't get stressed. I used to get so flustered when I would put forth great effort and things wouldn't go my way. And I think that's why I love bodybuilding so much, because isolation plus friction equals growth. With it, no matter what else happens in my life, no matter what ups and downs the world throws me, I know that if I, isolate the muscle group, create friction, that I'm going to grow. If I eat the right things and do my cardio, I'm going to get great results. And for me, it's a lot of like, it brings me great comfort, that routine of it, because life is so unpredictable. So yeah, what to get back to the question, I would tell my younger self, don't freak out, man. Life's gonna hit you sometimes. You just gotta ride the wave, and eventually you'll be in a place in your life where shit's gonna happen and it's not gonna phase you, man. It's just gonna be a little bump of the day, and you're gonna keep on rolling because now you're prepared. Just to summarize everything that I just said, is just I think that I just would not let the even big things or the little things. I wouldn't let things bother me so much because I was so hard on myself, growing up, especially when I was younger, just wanting to do great and putting forth great effort and not getting the results that I wanted. So that's what I would tell myself, man. Life is long. If God willing, if things all work out, life is a long trip, man. Don't sweat the little stuff and stretch yourself out.
I agree. And I think what would I tell myself? If I was to say anything to myself 10 years ago, it would be take your time. Uh, I think a lot of times because I want to see success and I want to make productivity happen so quick, I make unnecessary I have unnecessary bad things happen, that I could have probably if I had took my time a little bit, which is what I usually am good at. But sometimes you get anxious, right? Because you're so driven, you're so motivated by that thing that's pushing you every day. You kind of lose sight of, all right, maybe I should slow down a bit and kind of recalculate my steps. So I think that's one thing I would have told myself, because there's a few things I probably would have changed. Still young. I mean, we're 29
Yeah,
years old. So it's not like, we're 55, like, yo, I shoulda, woulda, coulda. Um, and that's one thing too. That's one thing too. I was always motivated by it too, is like, you always hear these older guys like, man, if I was your age, if I could go back in time and switch this up, I would, be able to change that. But I never
right.
wanted to be happy with the choices we decided to make. Like, if I look back on what we did in high school, those were some of the best years of my life because we decided to take those leaps. And I'm glad we did because that propelled our confidence into our adulthood. Um,
Right.
and so
Yeah,
I
and
stand by that.
I agree, man, totally about those leaps. I could not have said that better. There were so many things that we put on our plate because we wanted to do more. We wanted to get the most out of our high school experience, where other people were just trying to get through it. We didn't mind doing more work, going to work, getting jobs, what I'm saying, putting money together to try to get a car and doing this and doing that because we wanted those little things. We wanted to work. And those are characteristics that stick with you all throughout life, man. So many people missed out on those things, especially during those years, because they were just satisfied with going to school, doing the work, coming home, chilling,
Yeah.
and calling it a day.
And that's what brings me to this point too, because you talked about having a close knit group, right? And one thing that you put me on, I think this was like maybe 4 years ago, when I was complaining about somebody close not having the motivation, and you was telling me that you can't have enough motivation for you and that person. Like, you can only probably motivate them to do one thing just so they can get you to shut up, and then after that they go back to what they're doing. And
Yeah,
that's what I had to learn the hard way in my 20s, is like, hey, you got your motivation, and that person, if they're a significant other, if they're a friend, they got to meet you halfway. Because if not, then you're gonna have to leave them behind, because your goals and your passions, I don't feel like should have to be sacrificed for people that don't want to keep pushing and at least align themselves a little bit with what you want to do. You
yeah,
bodybuild, I want to do business.
yeah.
Those two are totally different, but at the same time, we can feed off each other's energy.
Right, and we can definitely find that common ground because you can't be so small minded to say, oh, I play football and you play basketball, but because it's two different sports, we can't learn anything from each other. I bet we both grind hard. I bet we both show up to practice and we prepare and we do the prior proper planning that prevents piss poor performance. It's those little things. It's the characteristics behind the decisions. It's the thought process behind all those decisions. Those are the things that we have in common. Maybe what we're doing is not exactly the same, but the end goal of wanting to be successful and not and being willing to do whatever it takes. everyone says that, but the practical application of that is a daily struggle. You can't go hard on Monday and then take Tuesday off and then kind of go hard on Wednesday and say, you know what, I did everything I could. It's a daily, it's a daily thing. Every day I wake up, I don't give myself any credit for what I did yesterday. That was yesterday, man.
I like that.
That was yesterday's cardio. That was yesterday's freaking leg session or whatever. And that shit has nothing to do with what we're doing today or what we're doing moving forward. So, I'm all about giving yourself credit, but let's not go patting ourselves on the back. Let's hold off on that until we get to where we want, to where, you're signing that lease or I'm raising that trophy. Now it's the appropriate time to party. Let's get it.
I somewhat struggle with that a little bit because I came back off of deployment and I came back home, because to me, being on deployment was 7 months lost time. So I came back home trying to go 100%, all the way, but, business, realty, starting up this podcast and everything like that. And, my fam had to tell me like, hey, look, I get what you're saying. Like, I get you like, yo, we got to go. We got to do this. We got to do that. But you got to take a moment and kind of level things out a bit. Because for me, it's like with you, like you we destabilize each other kind of growing up. So like my support system I have now, they kind of destabilize me a bit because like I think people like you and I, like we could get consumed in what we're doing and just go 110% laser focused. And I've had to, as we come up as fathers, both as fathers, I've realized, how to kind of level that out, and then also keep in mind too, like how can I implement my kid or my family into what I'm doing, so I'm still being productive with my personal growth at the same time, implementing them, and it's like we'll knock out two birds with one stone.
Right. Yeah, I couldn't agree more, man. And like you said, we both have that problem real bad. It's funny, man. I was talking to Jerome, my older brother, for y'all who don't know, but he was the one that kind of put me onto that. And this was maybe like a month ago, recently. He was like, Josh, man, I love what you're doing and you're motivating me to push and all that good stuff, but you only have 100%. There's no such thing as 110%. There's no such thing as 120%.
That's all we hear in the military.
Yeah, right. Go 110%. You can go harder. No, man, you have 100% of yourself, and that's it. That's it. That's as much as anyone has. And if you're going to put 30, 40, 50, 60, 70% in one area, know that you only have whatever's left of that 100 to give out to yourself to other areas of your life. Like you said, the other hats that we wear, the father, for you, working in the military, you're a mentor, you have people underneath you that look up to you and look for you to guidance and, relationships. And I mean, there's so many different hats, that you have to wear throughout the day. And these are daily changes. So you can't say, I can't say I'm giving 100% of myself to this prep, because then you don't leave any room for anything else. That was one of my things, man, especially last year. I just consumed myself because I wanted that pro card so bad. And that was one of my New Year's resolutions, man. I promised myself that I was going to spread myself around more evenly and not so much put my goal in the back burner, because, me and you were always goal oriented, but you can go hard. You can give 60% to something and still have that 40 and slice it up in the right way. There's no need to give 89, 90% of yourself so that you only have 10% of yourself to spread between all the other areas in your life.
Yeah. What competitors do you kind of follow or speak to? Like, who do you kind of look at as a model? Like, okay, I like how that guy works out. What he does, his diet, the way his body is shaped.
There's so many. Yeah, oh yeah, I do it a lot. I mean, I got a lot of respect for people who have crazy physiques. There's Keon Pearson, who finished, I think, 4th in the world at the Olympia last year. He's moving up in division to 212. He's my height. I lean towards the shorter guys, obviously.
Yeah.
But there's so many of them, man. This one dude who's natural, man, when the Iron Lord, if you want to check him out on
Iron Lord.
yeah, Iron Lord, and I actually paid him for some posing and stuff like that. Like, I'll put money. Like, I don't just like or share something. If I think that you really got the juice, man, if I think that you got some knowledge that could help me, I'll pay you for that. You can go hard on what you love and what you want to do, but that doesn't mean you should neglect all the other things in your life.
Exactly. And I guess, yeah, so I guess you could think about it like this. What's a healthy amount of motivation, right? To where do we allow it to consume ourselves, to where we forget everything else, or we have to find a good balance so that we're not just totally disregard everything else that's in our life. I think that is something also to take consideration, because you have those people, you'll listen to something motivational and you be like, all right, cool. Because a lot of people, what they'll say is, if you really want to do something, you need to be obsessed with it. You need to eat, drink, sleep it. That's all you do. That's all you think about, right? And people kind of take that and maybe may go too far with it to where it totally disregards the other things in their life. So I guess that's where good time management comes into place. That's where kind of weighing out what is a priority right at that moment, so that because we all want it. We want overall happiness. We all want overall joy at the end of the day. And what would bring us overall joy and happiness ain't just, that one thing.
Exactly.
I love having my son around, but also like being successful in the Navy. I also like doing business. So multiple things, but at the same time, I would say, shoot, our family is a lot of the reason why that pushes to what we are, what we want to do. We had our own motivation, our own reasons why we wanted to do something, and then when you start adding people that we care around us, it kind of gives you that extra push. Part of the reason why I kind of fantasize about it a little bit, like once I get to a certain part of my life, I want to be able to put my hand on my shoulders, on my son's shoulder, and be like, I did it. This is how Daddy did it. This is what I was able to provide to you or for you. Now go ahead and learn from what I was doing so you could do better. That's always,
Right.
I guess, a proud moment as a parent. So I don't know. You. That's how you kind of see things or kind of fantasize things with your daughter.
Definitely, man. I think the biggest thing with me and my daughter, because we talk a lot, and I'm not able to get as much FaceTime as I would like. I definitely always tell her, just look, they're getting older and they're getting so smart with this technology and stuff. So they see more so than anything that you could tell a kid, they're looking and they're observing it. And, I remember all the little things that, me seeing my mom owning property and her dragging me and my brother out to rip up the carpet instead of, paying somebody to do it, and painting houses and dealing with floods and all this other stuff. Those memories, those thoughts mean way more to me than any, sit down, Joshua, let's have this deep conversation. So for me, I just want to be able to say, look what, like you said, look what I did. I can sit here and talk to you till you're blue in the face. But when you see someone, especially someone you look up to, leading by example, you got no choice but to raise your standards. You have no choice but to want more and to strive for more, because so many people don't want, because they've never seen more. They've never seen that option. They've never seen, maybe in their circle or in their family, there's not that many successful people. There's not that many people really getting after it. So I always want to be that beacon for my daughter. Like, look
Right,
what
bro.
your life can be if you push really hard.
You're right, because you know what, and it's good you say that, exposure. So exposure does motivate you in a different way, because I would say living in Elizabeth City, right, we can only be exposed but to so much.
Right.
I guess shout out to the 252, and then
Yeah.
and then when I ended up moving to LA, I got exposed to so many things that I didn't even think. For one, I didn't see so many Black people being so successful at the same time, right? Because in Elizabeth City, everybody's it's a stagnant area. But when I went to LA, I saw so many people, so many Black people doing so many business moves, so many power moves, and they were making it seem like it was nothing. They're like, yeah, we just do this, we do that together, and then we put our money together on that. This is what we're doing. And there was some ideas that I didn't even think was possible until I saw that, and that really kind of got me motivated, seeing people around my age, or maybe even a little bit older, just a little bit, few years older, I could still see myself being them, and they
Right,
were doing
exactly.
it. And
Still my peer group.
Yeah, still in my peer group, and that gave me kind of a real big boost on a lot of things. And I think the
Right.
military in
And I,
general,
and I
we got to see different people from different parts of the
exposed. Yep.
country and world.
Yep. And like you said, I think that was the biggest. Like I love what you said about they were acting like it was nothing. That's what blew me when I started getting out in the world and experiencing shit. And you know, I'm in the barracks thinking about, you know, the next chick I'm about to take out to the movies, and my homeboy is getting his apparel, you know, his fitness apparel off the ground. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, what? Like, right, you ain't doing that? Like, you ain't here. Like, what did you do with your bonus? I'm like, man, you know, and it's crazy. You know, like you said, it's the mindset. And see, other people would do that and be like, oh, you doing too much. I'm about to go have fun. That kind of stuff. Obviously, 10 years ago, I still remember that because it made an impression on me. It said, Josh, you know what? Let's not be hard on yourself and say, oh, man, you trash. You ain't doing nothing. But open up your eyes, man. There is so much more time, so much more things you can be doing productive in these 24 hours.
Yeah. No, that's key, because you I think looking back, or even if you look at some of your friends and family, you realize how much time is wasted.
Yeah.
And I be doing the time assessment to myself. You know, okay, it took me 30
Me
minutes to
too.
do this. Why it took me 30 minutes? I could have did it in 10. You
Yep.
know?
Yep. I do that same exact thing, man. I live by my routine and my schedule. I got a whiteboard and calendar, and you know, I'm moving pieces around, and okay, well, I see I got, you know, 3 hours that are unaccounted for here. What can I do? What can I plug into that slot? You know, that makes sense. That makes money. That's gonna get me prepared for the next step of whatever it's gonna be. So yeah, man. And it's just, you have to condition your mind to process information that way. It's not something that you're just gonna get. You're just gonna snap, unless you were, you know, born into it and that's all you've ever heard. Then yeah, of course, that's the way you process information. But especially for us, where we're from a smaller town. Not saying that there wasn't people out there getting money and making moves. It's just like you said, it wasn't an overwhelming example of it, and it wasn't so smack dab in your face. So, you know, it was definitely something that we already had in us, but over time it sharpened. It sharpened from the experiences that we went through, for sure.
You know, one thing too, I just want to, this ain't got much to do with the topic, but you know, I was thinking about something the other day, with us living in Elizabeth City. Yo, we made the best out of an area that really ain't had much going on. Like, we had a lot of fun.
Yep. And it's funny, man. I'm in Indianapolis now, and it's a huge city. Like, it's a major city. And you know, it ain't New York, LA, but it's a big ass city. I think any city that has like a professional team, you know, you're pretty much living in a metropolitan area. You know, if you got a football team, good. But anyway, there's so many people that, oh man, Indy whack, man, that ain't nothing to do. Da, da, da. Oh man, there's a bajillion different concerts, movie, you know, parades and freaking festivals for this and that, and people. You are as good as your situation, as good as you make it. If you sit on your couch and watch Netflix for 6-7 hours a day, then you go to work for 6-7 hours a day. You gotta sleep, you gotta eat, you gotta wash. There's not much more time to do anything and see anything. You could live in Dubai, you could live in New York, you could live in LA, but if you never leave your apartment, it's gonna be wet.
Yeah, there's a lot of people I knew that lived in South Central and never left South Central. Like, they didn't even go walk down the street to Inglewood, you know, a few blocks down. They just, people from, I know that's from New York, I knew that they never left the Bronx. They like, you didn't go to Queens, you didn't go to Brooklyn, you didn't go nowhere. You was always in the Bronx. And speaking of Elizabeth City, though, you know, the average annual income in Elizabeth City is actually $31,000 a year. Didn't know that.
Okay. I didn't know that either.
Let's see. I wonder what the average income of LA is.
That's not bad.
It's probably like 100,000 or something like that.
Right.
Oh, the average income of Los Angeles, 62. So it's just double that.
Yeah. But I mean, double is double. You know what I mean? No matter how can be double.
So
Twice as good.
you said what's good?
I said twice as good though.
Yeah, twice.
Might not be
twice
an alarming statistic, but it's twice as good.
Shoot. But hey, man, I appreciate you coming up here, man, because I definitely I look up to you as a motivation, like on the low, like, you know what I'm saying? Like every day I'm not texting you like, hey man, you just really light a fire in my ass, bro. But from a distance, man, whether I was on deployment or, you know, me being 1,000 miles away from you right now, you do motivate me and inspire me, even if it's in a different field, professional field. I know that you're putting in hard work. That's something I know you've never been afraid of, is hard work and making sacrifices. And so I look at it like, hey, you know what? My bro Josh is doing it on something that I know is even tough for him, then I know I could do it too. So I do appreciate you putting in the work you've been putting in. I'm pretty sure you've been inspiring other people as well. And that's the reason why I really wanted you up here today, recording with me, because I know that you got that fire. So pause.
Hey man, you know, it's definitely mutual, man. You know, the leaps and bounds that you go through and the sacrifices you make for your family, and to make sure that, you know, like you say, you're providing and you know, you're doing everything you need to do to secure that to have security, to be comfortable and make sure that your son is comfortable. You know, I look up to that, and I always have. I even said that at your wedding. You know what I mean? Like, always looked at you, you know, as a big brother, even though we're the same age. You know, I've always been a little bit more of the wild child, man, and you know, the respect is obviously mutual, man. You know, it don't take much. It don't take no rocket scientists to look at the way that we handle ourselves and we handle our business and say, hey, that guy might not have all the answers, but he's moving in the right direction. You know, and anyone who can't look at that and see it, they're not looking at enough. You know, they need to open their eyes. So
yeah, and I think you're right about that, because anybody that has somebody that they look up to and maybe is motivated by somebody, it brings a little human to the fact that a human factor to the fact that they make mistakes, right? There's some things that they had to figure out along the way, and that's okay. That type of transparency actually makes you relatable, because, you know, I've had people, you know, complain about me at work, saying that, you know, I run off of batteries, right? You know, because I'm always trying to push. But it's okay for people to know, like, hey, you know what, but this is what I do to compensate. This is what I do to still keep pushing. So
right, yeah, and it's not it's not. I used to always who told me this, man? My squad leader back in my grunt days. It's not being fearless that makes you a hero. It's overcoming that fear. It's being scared to do something or having a difficult time, being tired, you know, working a lot of hours and doing it anyway. Not saying that you're immune to the emotion or that negative feeling. It's feeling that negative feeling and pushing past that. It's saying, hey, I recognize and, you know, I acknowledge that that's going on and it sucks, but grit your teeth and get the job done, man. And that's I mean, that's the long and the short of it, man. Anybody who's doing that, you keep on doing that, you're gonna be all right.
All right, bro. So what do you consider your rich state of mind?
My rich state of mind is when I feel like my presence in other people's life is making an impact. You know, I definitely was a lot more self-indulged and self-focused, which you should be, you know, and when you're first starting off in life. But, you know, as the years have gone on, and especially when I got out of the military, I was kind of looking for that purpose. And, you know, because when you're in the military, you never have to question yourself whether or not you're making an impact. You know what I mean? You know that you're part of some huge operation that in some way is affecting the lives of, you know, everyone in your country. But once you leave that organization, you know, at least myself, I found myself asking, you know, like, hey man, what is all, you know, what is my life really accumulating to? And it wasn't until, and even in bodybuilding, it was kind of, you know, still me focusing on myself and kind of, you know, my own personal development. So once I was able to find mentoring and, you know, see the impact that I'm making. And, you know, it's not every kid, because every kid ain't listening, but just some of them, even if it's only one or two, that brings me, you know, to a rich state of mind. That drives me. That makes me be like, hey, I got to be a better mentor. I got to be a better, you know, father, you know, worker, all those things, because someone is, you know, I'm making an effort, and I don't want to let that person down by, one, falling short of my goals, or two, doing something that would knock me down from that place where they have respect for me. So I guess that would definitely, you know, that's my rich state of mind. That really gets me going and keeps me drive, man.
Cool beans, man. I appreciate that.
All right, anytime, man. Once again, thanks for having me on.
All right, no problem, man. Later.
All right, later, bro.